You're listening to CherryPickin Entertainment.
Throw me the ball and watch what I do with it.
You are now tuned into the CherryPickin podcast with your host, Andre Cherry.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the CherryPickin podcast. I'm your host, Andre Cherry, and just want to start off by saying happy holidays. How are you all doing? This holiday season, I feel like, has come and we're almost done. We've got New Year's Eve coming up, New Year's Day. We just had Christmas and Hanukkah started, and the first few days of Kwanzaa have also started up as well. So I hope you all have enjoyed the holiday season. I'm recording this podcast on Sunday, December 29th, and really, I'm just hopping on here. I don't really have much of an agenda, just wanted to talk to you all. It's been a minute since I last had a podcast, and I thought, why not come on here, talk a little bit about football, talk about life a little bit, and just tell you what I've been up to. So again, it's the holiday season. I've enjoyed it. I'm glad that Christmas has come and gone. I feel like there's always a nice little lead up to Christmas, and I love the Christmas season, and I love the holiday season. It's a wonderful time of the year, certainly, but there's a lot of stress about getting gifts and presents and getting family together and doing all sorts of things. So I'm glad that it has come and gone, and I'm looking forward to the new year. But over the holiday season, I did some cool stuff. I saw the Ravens play the Steelers maybe a week ago, with my good friend Casey. Yeah, we got some tickets. I rode the Amtrak down to Baltimore for literally a day, not even a day. Went down there, met up with my buddy Casey. We went to M&T Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, and we saw the Ravens play a tough contest against the Steelers. They got the victory pretty convincingly. I mean, the Ravens looked really good. It was cold conditions. It was under 30 degrees. I think 30 degrees around kickoff, and then as the game was going on and the sun went down, it got cold. It was probably in the mid-20s, if I had to guess. We were up in the, I don't even know what section we were in. We were kind of high up, but we had good seats, kind of right behind one of the end zones, and it was awesome to see an NFL game. I haven't been to an NFL game in years. I've been to a Eagles preseason game many, many years ago, back in like 2014, back when I moved here. But I haven't seen a professional game for quite some time. Certainly not since I was living in Chicago. That may have been the last time I saw an actual NFL game. But I had a blast, saw the Ravens win, and they're one of my teams out here because my fiance, she's a huge, huge Ravens fan. So through her love of the Ravens, it's kind of bled over to everyone else in the family. So I definitely enjoy watching the Ravens. They're one of my teams that I watch out here. Certainly I watch the Eagles as well because I live in Philly and they're just that hometown team that everybody loves and supports. And then I've got my Chicago Bears that I watch kind of on my own time up in my office. I shut my door and I watch my Bears games alone. Even though my daughter, I think she loves doing things that daddy does, so she loves that I love the Bears. And I told her, listen, this is not a lifestyle that you want to adopt. Like, you don't want to root for the Bears because they will let you down. And they've let me down all my life, basically. I mean, there's that one year that they went to the Super Bowl. That was fun. Devin Hester years were exciting. But the Bears, for the most part of my life, have largely been a disappointment to me. And so it's not fun watching Bears games. But my daughter, she has birthrights to Philadelphia. This Philadelphia sports scene, she was born into it. So she's got the Eagles to enjoy, and she's got the Ravens through her mom. So she's got a whole bunch of bird teams that she can watch and enjoy. Don't watch the Bears games unless you love to be disappointed and you love pain, is basically what I told her. So I don't think she understands. She's only 6, but I just told her, leave the pain to me. You enjoy watching the Ravens and the Eagles dominate, and they're on a run right now. They could hopefully meet at the Super Bowl. And I don't want to say that out loud because I don't want to get in trouble, but the Ravens and the Eagles can go on a run here once the playoff starts. The Bears, I'm not sure when they'll go to the playoffs. I'm not even sure next season they'll go. So that was a lovely experience to see the Ravens game, and they beat the Steelers. It's a storied franchise, certainly in the last 20 years. I mean, that's probably got to be the most popular rivalry in football. I would say the Ravens and Steelers, and the Ravens got a convincing victory at home in Baltimore. Many of the players saw some records broken in that game. I feel like Zay Flowers, he had a record of 1,000 yards receiving, the first time a rookie receiver or a receiver new in the league has done that in his first 2 years. And I don't know if that was an NFL record or if that was a team record, but he saw that record broken. And then King Henry, Derrick Henry, rushed for over 150 yards. He had done that, I think, for the 4th time this season. That was pretty cool to see. And then somebody told me that Lamar Jackson actually hadn't beaten the Steelers at home since he's been in the league. And I think he was hurt the last time they played at home. And there's some other stuff going on. And I just found that very fascinating that he had never beaten the Steelers in front of his hometown fans before. So I thought that was very interesting. So saw him do that. MVP chants were being shouted across the stadium at the end of the game. And the Ravens clinched a playoff spot. So that was awesome to see all of that kind of come together during my game with my friend Casey. You've heard him on this podcast before. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't know that I'll ever go to a game again, certainly not in those conditions, but I enjoyed watching the Ravens win. Again, they're one of my teams that I watch out here. And it would be cool to go to an Eagles game. I'm not going to lie. Maybe next year I can find a way to go to an Eagles game in the fall. Those tickets are hard to come by. The Eagles have one of the most expensive tickets in all of college, in all of NFL football. I believe the Lions are a more costly ticket. The Cowboys, and then I guess I want to say the Eagles, I think were 3 or 4 on that list, but Eagles have a very expensive ticket, very expensive, very passionate fan base, but it would be cool to watch an Eagles game next year, and maybe that'll be one of my goals for 2025, because I just love listening to people in the stands, because people just shout some crazy stuff, and I just love hearing just like the nat sound of all these random voices and all these random, curse words and expletives and all these different phrases that these people that I assume have regular jobs. Like some of these people are probably C-suite members of organizations that they're at, just acting like cavemen, essentially. I mean, you just hear some wild stuff out there, and that was the funniest thing to me, is just hearing people just go off and shout at the players. The player that I think got the most hate that day was Patrick Queen with the Steelers. He used to be a Raven, and then he went to the Steelers, and he made his exit difficult on himself. He was just, as soon as he left, I felt like he was just bad-mouthing the organization, bad-mouthing the fans, and I don't know if he was doing that just to build some respect amongst Steelers fans and the Steelers community, to kind of badmouth the Ravens and what they're about. But that was a very bad idea, because the Ravens fans, and I'm sure fans in general, just don't have a short-term memory. They don't forget much when it comes to people, players that they hate. And Patrick Queen, he was getting a lot of hate last week. I found it very, very funny just hearing some of the things people were saying. It was wild. Certainly can't repeat it, but it was just fun to hear that. I haven't been to an NFL game in a while, so it was a cool experience. Outside of that, saw Interstellar in the movie theater in IMAX. It was the 10-year release of that movie that came out in 2014. It was very cool just sitting in the theater, listening to all the sounds and watching that movie on the big screen. Christopher Nolan has got to be one of my favorite directors of all time, really. I mean, I was about to pause there, but he's one of my favorite directors. Definitely love what he did with the Dark Knight series. I definitely love Interstellar. I love Inception. I mean, I love the work that he does. I love that he truly puts his heart into everything, and he's so detailed. And it's like some of the Easter eggs he puts in there, like little treats for the fans. Like if you're watching his movies and then you stay till the end, you kind of see it all kind of wrap up in a bow. And it's really fulfilling to watch his movies. Like I feel really good from start to finish. And some of his movies I just rewatch over and over. Like Inception, whenever it's on Netflix, I download that all the time when I'm traveling for work. That's a movie I just replay over and over. I don't even know why. It's such a well done film, and I just find it fascinating. I had to go see Interstellar again. It was playing in theaters for a limited run in IMAX, so I saw it on literally like the last day you could see it out here in Philly/New Jersey. Saw it over in Cherry Hill a few Wednesdays ago. Just a random afternoon. Things were slow. Went to go see the movie, enjoyed it. I hope he does that again, and I hope the theaters do that again, the studios. Like, I would love to see Back to the Future in IMAX, or I would love to see Jurassic Park, the original movies in the IMAX, stuff like that. Like, go back to some of these original movies that I didn't get to see as a kid, like in its original run. Bring them back. I feel like movie theaters would make a killing bringing back some of these popular movies. It would help to pump more blood and more life into theaters. I love movies, and I just feel like if the movie experience goes away, where I can watch it in a theater, I can have a nice, large thing of popcorn, maybe a sugary drink next to me, some candy. I just feel like if that goes away, where I kind of we miss that experience of watching something as an audience together, outside of the home setting, like in a theater. If that goes away, man, I don't know what I will do. I will be devastated. I will be gutted. And so I'm glad that they brought Interstellar back for us to watch and enjoy. I don't know the next movie that I'll see in the theaters. It probably will be the new Captain America movie, if I'm being real. That comes out in February. I believe February 14th of 2025. That'll probably be the next movie I see. But I enjoy seeing movies if there's quality movies to be seen. It was cool to watch Interstellar with a small audience of folks. We enjoyed it. A lot of people were crying at the end. I mean, it's a very beautiful film. It's a very beautiful message, and it hits you in the right spot. So shout out to Christopher Nolan and the whole IMAX team and the whole AMC team for putting that out there. And then other than that, I mean, I haven't really seen much college football this bowl season, if I'm being real. The day that I went to see the Ravens play the Steelers, the college football playoff first round was happening, and a lot of those games were blowouts, and I just missed them just due to the fact that I was traveling. I didn't get a chance to really sit down and enjoy those games, but I feel like I didn't miss much. I did watch Notre Dame versus Indiana on that Friday before, and Notre Dame just whooped up on Indiana. It was pretty embarrassing, and Notre Dame looks like they are a real deal team. Indiana, I think, we're just happy to be there, but outside of that, I haven't seen much college football. I had tickets to go to the Military Bowl yesterday. My sister was going to hook it up. She had like 4 tickets, and I was trying to go, but I had some things that I was doing with my daughter. In the morning, we went to see Disney on Ice, which is a solid show. Certainly recommend it if you've got young kids. It's a good little show for about 2 hours. You can just sit down and watch these Disney characters dance on the ice. Definitely recommend that. But I didn't have a chance after that to just hop down to Annapolis to watch the games, and the weather wasn't great, so I just kind of let those tickets kind of burn. But I'm glad I didn't go, because NC State just seems to disappoint me when it comes to football season. NC State is they're just mediocre. And Dave Doran, I mean, he, great coach for what he's accomplished there, the longest tenured coach, the most wins, all that's nice and everything's good with that, but I want more. I want more out of NC State football. I think they can be more than what we're getting. I don't know what the problems may be. Like, I have my ideas and thoughts for how the program can get better. I don't know why we haven't gotten better. I don't know if it's an over-reliance of the portal for quarterbacks, but I like the new quarterback that's in there right now. Like, he's good, that freshman that's in there, CJ Bailey, and it's just, I'm not trying to come off as like a bitter NC State fan, but I want more. We deserve more. Especially after seeing what the basketball team did last season. We're tired of mediocrity. Like, we want better. We want more. We want to push for an ACC title. And I don't think we're going to get it anytime soon. So that's what's frustrating. And I'm glad I didn't go to the game. Honestly, it would have been a waste of my time to drive 2 hours down to Annapolis, maybe stay somewhere at a hotel or, find plans to stay somewhere, drive, all that gas, all the money spent at the game, after the game. Like, I'm good. I'm glad I watched it at home and, I didn't disrupt my plans and my evening at all. But like, if this was Andre from maybe just a few years ago, I'm going to miss a chance to see my beloved Wolfpack. They're just a couple hours away from Philly. What? I'll be there, no questions asked. But the fact that I had to kind of stop and think and is it worth it? And the fact that I didn't pull the trigger on it, I just feel like that shows you where NC State fans like myself are right now. I'm a lifelong NC State fan. And the fact that I was like, I could do something else. And what did I do? I mean, I just chilled at home. I watched Squid Games. I mean, is that what a diehard fan would do? I don't know if that's a decision that most people would choose if they're really a diehard for their team, but that's where I'm at right now. Call me when basketball season gets when they're heating up and, we can go on a run with the basketball season, but it's like football, they're just a disappointment, and I don't feel like there's an effort to get better, and until that time happens, I'm just going to be a casual fan. And speaking of Squid Games, I watched season 2 Squid Games on Netflix. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I just feel like we need more episodes of that show. And I know some people are kind of torn. Some people like the season. I've seen mostly negative reviews, if I'm being real. But I enjoyed watching the story. There are only 7 episodes, and I was glued to every episode. I wish we had more episodes to enjoy in season 2, especially because the first season came out like in 2021, I believe. So it's been a few years since we got season 2. I don't know how many more years it'll take for season 3 to come out, if there is a season 3. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to spoil anything. What I will say is I love Squid Games. Like, I love the reality show Squid Games, and I wish I could have been cast in season 2 of the reality show. Like, I love a real world road rule challenge. That's my day one love. But Squid Games, something about how they produce that show, it just speaks to me because I have been an extra in movies, and I feel like the people that are cast on Squid Games, it's like just a show of extras that are kind of just forced together in this warehouse. They have to live together. They have to play these games, but it's like a bunch of extras, really, trying to navigate production, like navigate these different games, and they're being filmed, and it's cool to me. It's just something about it just speaks to what an extra would go through. I love the concept of the show, and certainly no one dies in the reality show, but I just think it's hilarious. I've connected with some of the original members from the reality show, like TJ. I've connected with him on Instagram. He's a cool dude, and he's answered my questions that I've had. He's been very, very cool and gracious of his time on Instagram. He's a good follow. But I just wish I could be cast on that show. They closed down casting like maybe a few weeks ago, and I just wish I could be on that show. It something about it just seems so fun to me. And I'm sure it wasn't a fun experience for those folks. I'm sure at many points it was probably long hours. It was probably miserable. I think I saw one of the players say that they were on the verge of like hunger, which is not cool. But I wish that I could have been on that show so bad because I love every part of the Squid Games challenge. I love watching that reality show. That's one of the shows when I'm traveling. It's either a Christopher Nolan film or I'm downloading episodes of the reality show to Squid Games, and I just rewatch it because I think it's hilarious. And it's probably not meant to be funny, but the way they shot that and produced it is hilarious to me. And I won't give anything away from that show either. I won't give any spoilers out, but like when players lose, I just find it hilarious because they're so dramatic in their exits that I think it's funny. And sure, they're dramatic because they lost out on millions of dollars. So they lose out on the opportunity to change their lives and change their families' lives by the tune of like $4 million or something like that. That sucks. And I'm not trying to laugh at that. I just think they're just very dramatic. I find it hilarious. with that, I'm going to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will get into football games, like college football games. I'll just talk a little bit about the games that are upcoming. I won't go too deep, but I just wanted to get on here, record an episode, because I felt like it had been a few weeks since I had dropped a new podcast. So we'll get into the college football playoff games on the other side of this break. So don't go anywhere. The Cherry Pickin Podcast will be right back.
Want to know what life is really like after the game is all over? Real athletes are here to share their true stories of adversity and triumph every week on After Orange Slices. Even if you don't like sports, pro athletes, former college stars, celebrities, coaches, public speakers, doctors, and all kinds of experts join the show, and there's a little bit of something for everybody. Join me, Bridget, for a slice of inspiration, plus your everyday sports news sprinkled in. New episodes every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Basketball is back. And with that comes joy, tension, heartbreak, buzzer beaters, and elation. It's time to be courtside for every one of those moments, no matter where your team is playing. Short Court specializes in making replica and custom basketball courts for your home, office, sports cave to decorate your walls with all those memories. If you have a picture, we can recreate it. Featured in the 2021 UniWatch Holiday Gift Guide, short courts are made using real wood. We frame and give them an epoxy finish to protect the new centerpiece of your memorabilia collection. With previous customers including Northern Kentucky University, Southern Utah University, 199 Apparel, The Perimeter Podcast with Adam Morrison, and many more celebrating the careers and retirements of their coaches, it's time you visit shortcourts.com for more info and a gallery of our work, or you can send us an email, info@shortcourts.com. Be sure to find us on social media, just search for Short Courts. It's time to bring the home court home.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cherry Pickin Podcast. Now we'll get into the college football games, the college football playoff games, that is. So the first round of the playoffs came and went, and they were largely boring games. I did see some of the recaps after the fact. I did watch the Notre Dame versus Indiana game that first Friday night of the college football playoff first round games, and it was all chalk winning those first round games. The winners of those first round games, Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, outscored its opponents by a score of 145-68. So these are double-digit victories for the winners. Things started off with the Notre Dame versus Indiana for that first round, and the Irish blew the doors off of Indiana. But even though the final score of that game was 27-17, that makes you feel like maybe it was closer than it was. This wasn't a game at all. The Irish held a commanding 20-3 lead over the Hoosiers heading into the fourth quarter. And I think this led college football golden boy and analyst Kirk Herbstreit to share some polarizing opinions about the CFP selection. He basically argued that some teams made the first round, first 12-team playoff because of their win total rather than being one of the best 12 teams. And he pointed out Indiana. I believe I saw on College Game Day, the day after the first round game, against Notre Dame and Indiana, he had mentioned, like, I'm looking at you, Indiana. You won 11 wins or whatever it was. You looked good. It's a feel-good story for Indiana, but were you really one of the better teams? I don't think so. You didn't play anybody. And I actually feel like what he said wasn't too outrageous because I actually believe him. Like, I have that same opinion. I think Indiana was a great story that they won those games, and that it's remarkable for Indiana to have a 10-win season. But who did you beat at the end of the day? You got boat raced by Ohio State during the season. You lost on a chance to go to the Big Ten championship game. And then you lose to Notre Dame. Like, you weren't that good. Like, you weren't. And, like, if we're being real with ourselves, and the committee was being real, they would do the same thing. Like, I'm tired of picking teams just because they have an impressive record or, whatever. Like, we knew Indiana wasn't one of the 12 best teams. You knew this. And he went on Pat McAfee's show, I think, later that week, or the next week, to say that he loves college football. He wasn't trying to say anything or show any favoritism over one conference over the other or one team over others. He loves the sport like a child does, and he wants to see the game be great. He wants to see great games. again, I agree with what he said. I know he took a lot of heat for that, a lot of flack for that on social media. But if we're really doing some like soul searching, Indiana wasn't one of the best teams this year. I even had some doubts about how strong Tennessee was as well. And I said that on the last podcast I dropped. Like the quality of wins, the quality of games they played. I don't know if you just take a step back and you're looking 10,000 foot view of the whole season of Tennessee and Indiana, there really aren't quality wins on their records. And Tennessee got blown out as well by Ohio State. So like, we just have to be real with ourselves. And like, they wouldn't want me on the committee because I would be real. I would find the 12 best teams regardless of the record, because I don't know that stacking wins is an indicator of how good a team is. Like, now that we're kind of past the first round, it's like, man, well, maybe Alabama should have deserved a chance to go in the playoffs. They probably would have done better than Indiana, most definitely. I think they would have done better than Tennessee as well. So it's like, we got to stop using wins as an indicator of success, because I don't think it's truly indicative of how good a team is. And, tough rub for Alabama for losing the games that they lost, including Vanderbilt. Like, it didn't help them in their quest to make the playoffs this year. And it's unfortunate because I think they may have been one of the best 12 teams, and we're missing out on seeing what they could do in the playoffs. So I just think these games have been largely boring for the most part. I think the next round games will be better for sure. So I'll just break down kind of my quick thoughts on all the games coming up here in the next round of the college football playoffs. So we've got number 5, Texas versus number 4, Arizona State. I think Texas should win this game. They should win the game. So I'm going to take Texas over Arizona State. I don't think Arizona State has what it takes to beat a team like Texas that has been more battle tested in the SEC this season. I think Texas knows what's in front of them. I don't think Texas squanders the opportunity. I think they would live to see another day. So I'm taking Texas versus Arizona State. I do think they win by at least 10 points in that game. So I'll take number 5 Texas over number 4 Arizona State. Then we got number 8 Ohio State versus number 1 Oregon. And this may be the game of the week. And I'm picking the Ducks, but I would love to see if Ohio State can turn it on against Oregon. They lost within 1 point during the regular season. I think Ohio State is just kind of like a sleeping giant. They kind of got through the season. They're in the playoffs. They turned it on against Tennessee. I think they've got that same juice heading into this matchup against Oregon. I think it'll be the best game of the weekend. And Oregon is certainly a team deserving of the number 1 ranking. They had 3 wins against ranked teams in the top 25, 2 wins in the top 5, which included Ohio State and then also Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. Oregon is deserving of all the flowers right now, but I want to see if they can be tested. I think Ohio State can give them that test, and I would love to see who comes out of that game. I'm picking the Ducks to win it, but I think Ohio State, you can't write them off. I think they make it really close. I think they make it extremely close on Oregon. So excited to see that game. Then we got number 6 Penn State versus number 3 Boise State. Certainly a great feel-good story this year for Boise State and Ashton Gentry, the running back at Boise State, tremendous player. I think Penn State is just going to be too much. That defense is too much. I think the offense is ready to explode. I mean, you got Drew Allar back there. I think he's got over 3,000 yards passing. Remarkable player. I think Penn State seizes the moment, the opportunity. They kind of fell into the playoffs. They fell into the spot that they're in, getting a favorable matchup against Boise State. I think they're like favored by 11 points or something like that in this game. So I think Penn State blows the doors wide open against Boise State this weekend or this week to see another day in the playoffs. So Penn State will win that matchup. And then I'm taking Georgia over Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame, I believe, is favored in this matchup. Quarterback Carson Beck for the Bulldogs declared for the draft this week, the NFL draft. So redshirt sophomore Gunnar Stockton will start against Notre Dame. Notre Dame impressed me against Indiana, but I'm excited to see how the Fighting Irish fare against a tougher opponent in Georgia. I think this team in Georgia is the best team in college football. If I had to put my money where my mouth is, I would say Georgia is the team that I'm picking to win it all. And I've kind of had some doubts with Carson Beck declaring for the draft. He won't play in this game. He had the injury a few weeks ago. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Georgia can still pull it out. But I think Notre Dame, we're catching them at the right time, or the wrong time, I guess, for the Bulldogs' sake. Notre Dame looked really good last week, offense, defense. I'm really excited to see what running back Jeremiah Love does. He's a force in the backfield and in the open field. So I want to see how Georgia comes out with Stockton under center. I had Georgia winning the whole thing, but again, I think Notre Dame could be one of those dark horse teams to win it all right now. I mean, they're playing really well, and I know it was against Indiana, but the team looks solid. I've got my eyes on that game. I want Georgia to pull it out, but I think Notre Dame has a chance to pull the upset. So it'll be really interesting to see how these games kind of shape up, these next round games in the playoffs. And I'm excited to watch them next week as we lead up to New Year's Day. Can you believe we're being 2025 in a matter of days? It's exciting, it's scary, but I'm here for it, and I'm here for you. And I just want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for downloading it. I hope you had a great holiday season. We still got New Year's Eve coming up here, New Year's Day. I hope you set those resolutions. I hope you stick to them. And I hope you make the Cherry Pickin' podcast a part of your 2025. So thank you very much for downloading this episode. Hope you have a good one. Take care, everybody. Peace. Thank you again for tuning into my Cherry Pickin' podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to subscribe to my show and drop me a rating on Apple Podcasts. All of my digital content can be found at the website CherryPickinSports.com. And if you are looking to interact with me via social media, my Twitter handle is @Cherry_Pickin. That's PICKIN. On my Twitter, you'll also find a link to my blog where I post my weekly college football predictions and analysis. I can also be reached via email at cherrypickinsports@gmail.com. Please feel free to reach out to me regarding what you like about this podcast or about what content you'd like to hear more of on future episodes. I sincerely thank you for your support, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Take care.